What's poppin'? What's poppin'? You are now watching J.U.K Sports Show. I am your host, King Ralph, and here in the building, along with the homie and my co-host, the homie Kai. What's poppin', bro?
What's good, fam? It's your boy Kai, and I'm recording live with the homie Ralph G from the Shy. All right, I'm done with the rhymes. I'm good, man.
Gang, 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 gang,
I'm
gang.
good, man. I'm good. I'm good. Okay.
But how was your weekend, bro?
You know what? My weekend was actually pretty good, man. I got a chance to, rest for a little bit finally. You know what I'm saying? So I can't really complain too much. I needed the rest. I need a treat yourself day, as they call it. So that's what I need, a whole week. But it was good. How about yours?
I had a good time. I had a good weekend, man. I got a chance to go to EDC. Gang, gang. Bro, we was out there lit, bro. It was hype,
Yeah,
bro. It was
yeah.
crazy. I got to see Big Crit on Saturday, so shout out to
Okay.
him. Multi to the Sunday.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I got to see a R&B singer named LA.
I've heard of LA. Yep.
I bought some merch, so shout out to him.
Okay. I didn't know he was actually out here at all, but that's cool.
Yeah, he opened up for Big Crit.
Okay, okay, nice, nice. Man, that's a perfect way to enjoy the weekend, man.
Right, right,
Where'd
right.
you, if you don't mind, real quick before we shout out everyone, where did you what venue or whatever where they performing at?
So Big Crit in LA was at
Okay.
Virgin Hotel. I think it's called Oxford 24 or something like that,
Okay.
or
Cool,
Virgin
cool, cool.
24, something like that, something along those lines. It's what used to be the Vinyl when it was the Hard Rock.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I've been over there before at that
Yeah.
Hard Rock.
But before we get this thing jumping, if you want to
Jump.
do any photo shoots, podcasts like what you're watching, you need consultations, you want to do music video, you just need the space, call the number on the bottom of the screen, 707 Fitboxer. And let's get into it. Nick Saban out here wilding, being
Whoa.
the most hypocrite of hypocrites,
Yeah.
if that's even a term or word or phrase. But he had some things to say about Deion Sanders and Texas A&M with his NIL deals, saying they're pretty much buying every player they got.
Right.
Who's inbounds? Who's out of bounds?
So I believe that Nick Saban was completely inbounds. I mean, no, excuse me, out of bounds because like in the stream. No,
Right, right.
I'm like, man, that's not. It's like speak your truth, Kai. No, but nah, I believe that Nick Saban was completely actually out of bounds. I was actually trying to pull up the quote if I could get the quote, but let me see, but if I can get it. If I can't, it's okay because he pretty much accused him of was it $1 million or offering like $1 million to Travis Hunter, I believe a 5-star recruit cornerback, defensive back nowadays, that wind up reneging on his offer or whatever, going to go to Florida State, and he chose on his signing day to join over at Jackson State University, Deion Sanders. And so Deion Sanders, pretty much his rebuttal was, we don't have to pay our people to play for our people, essentially, right? And I feel like Nick Saban was very salty. He came across as someone who was really salty. This is a guy who is, dare I say, came across as kind of a sense of entitlement that like Travis Hunter is supposed to go to Alabama and all these other schools and everything. And it's like, you just can't take the heat, man. Like The Rock said back in the 90s, if you can't handle the heat, get out of the country, get out of the kitchen, man, bro. It's like, wow, guys, like you just everywhere right now, bro. I don't know, man. I'm like something in my drink. No, but no, I believe he was completely out of bounds. I didn't like the where it came from because another thing, Ralph, that I don't think has been mentioned is Deion and Nick Saban had done commercials before. They did a commercial before, and so you would think, well, maybe yeah, they had some type of rapport that, because they worked together, and for him to kind of just throw Deion's name out there like that in the manner in which he did was almost as if this was something swelling inside of him, something that he was holding on to for a while that bothered him, and then he just decided to lash out. He lashes out at Deion. He lashes out at everybody else. So I like Deion Sanders. Response. And I actually think that the best response is to continue to do what Deion is doing, continue to watch these recruits, choose, Jackson State as long as you continue to build up your program, as long as you continue to use your recruiting methods. Obviously, he has an advantage, just like other schools have. My last point, well, other schools have amenity advantages, maybe. You know what I'm saying? Right? Well, Deion has a guess who I am, and guess who's going to be coaching you, and guess who that advantage. So you use your advantages to your advantage. And they're a program that's coming up in the world. They're going to continue to grow. And I just believe that Nick Saban was he's just being salty and petty in this situation.
I agree, man. Like like you said, it sounds like privilege, sounds like entitlement.
Yeah.
Because I think it's very funny, especially with today. Like after we agreed to the topic, I was like, "Oh, I definitely want to talk about it." But then I wake up this morning, and it's first thing at the top of my the little ticker.
Yeah.
ESPN is Alabama lands a top ESPN recruit 300 recruit who actually was committed to the Aggies, Alabama. So I find it real funny.
Yeah.
And then it's like I seen like even like Shannon Sharp, he brought this up, and it's like so if the player isn't dying to go to Alabama, the only reason that they didn't want to go to Alabama, somebody had to pay them to go somewhere else. That's the only way. Like everybody's just dying to leave sunny weather California to go end up in country Alabama.
Right.
Like when they've never spent a day in the life at all. So what's making them? It's just Alabama football has this allure, huh?
Right.
So it's like for me, bro, it's call it hogwash. Get that out of here.
Entitlement.
Right, exactly. So Nick Saban was completely out of bounds for what he said, and then he tries to backtrack and like, oh well, I didn't mean it. I didn't mean to offend.
It's like we don't believe you. You need more people.
More people.
Right. Shout out to Ho. Yeah. Oh man.
But then another one talk some baseball.
Baseball.
New York Yankees. Josh Donaldson, third baseman, calls Tim Anderson, shortstop for the White Sox. Jackie. Now there's a little bit of history between the two. I don't see where they were ever friends. Maybe they were friends outside of baseball because they never played on the same team. There's an 8-year age gap between the two, so I'm kind of confused on what made Josh Donaldson think he was cool enough with him to call him Jackie.
Right.
Tim Anderson in an article a couple years ago referred to himself as, he said, I feel like I'm Jackie Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
You take that, however, as inspiration. You could take it as in this day and age where there's not that many African American baseball players who are actually African American. Like it's a lot of dudes that look like they would be, but then they end up being Cuban, Puerto Rican, Dominican, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So for him to be one of the few actually 100% African Americans, you could take it that way, or you could just take it as like that's just how he feels about himself.
Yeah.
Because if you actually think about it, if you think like there's a lot of, since Tim Anderson has got to a point of being an all-star caliber type player, he's kind of found himself in the middle of criticism, you could say. Mm-hmm. So like he had the issue with how he celebrates. He had the issue with his coach, and the coach coming in being Tony La Russa, being an old school coach. Did he want him to dial it down? Or is he going to let him be him? Because things about baseball, they got these unwritten rules where it's like you're not supposed to show anyone up, so you're not supposed to celebrate, you're not supposed to bat flip or talk trash or anything like that. Then now we got this situation here where it seems as if, and then even just before we got ready to record, I seen Tim Anderson did confirm it that he does have somewhat of a relationship with Josh Donaldson outside, or that even if it's not some type of relationship, he did let Josh Donaldson get away with calling him Jackie a few months. So the question is, with all of that backstory, is Josh Donaldson in inbounds or out of bounds?
I believe that he would be. It's confusing, but for me, it sounds like he was just trolling more often than anything.
Right.
Well, trolls, I don't see it as, something that is malicious. There was any malicious intent behind it, anything really meant to be offensive. It sounds like he was just trolling, kind of a joke, he's doing. And if I would need to know more behind the context of said relationship, or like, as you mentioned, okay, he's called him that before or whatever. If there was no issue, then that automatically seems like that gives the individual the license to continue such behavior unless presented face to face or whatever by that person individually, and given a direct order to be like, no, don't call me that. Right. So that's how I say, like, if you don't know something, then you can't be out of bounds for me, or you can't get offended if someone calls you something if you tell them it's not okay to call them something, unless it was something that obviously there's a golden rule that says, okay, you can't say that word, right? I mean, freedom of speech or whatever. So for me, I'm going to say, I'll say inbound, just because I feel like the whole situation, as you were saying, it's still kind of murky to me. It sounds like dude was just trolling. And so I hate trolls, but I'm not, it's kind of, like, why'd you call yourself Jackie, man? You know what I'm saying? Is this a Lupe Fiasco album where there's a cryptic message behind it that we need to peel back the layers like an onion, or what? You know what I'm saying? Because at first thing, I'm kind of like, but then when I think more about it, I'm like, I would just rather hear him, me personally, just as an outsider, me personally, I would rather know the context of the relationship. That's it. If I could find that out, I think I could give more of a directive response to it. But right now, I'm not going to say he's out of bounds at the moment. It's kind of murky to me. It's a gray area.
I think for me, I'm going to say he's out of bounds, and I'm going to say it for this specific reason. There's a certain point, and I heard this point was made earlier today.
Yeah.
By Doug Glanville, former baseball player. He was talking about how, like, even if I was comfortable with being called something a couple years ago, life happens, things change. I'm no longer comfortable with being called that now. And so I do think it's out of bounds, because it's like, if you guys are friends, then all right, I get it. But it's like no indication of y'all ever being friends. There's an 8-year age gap, that you've never played on the same team. Like, do you train together? Where's the relationship for you to feel comfortable calling him that? So if he, just because you called him that a couple years ago, different thing. Like, the thing I take from it is there's racial undertones within it. Now, when it comes to race, there's been certain instances where things have happened where, if it's not George Floyd, Philando Castile, then we got Breonna Taylor, even stuff happening today. Like, I no longer am comfortable with letting you feel like you're comfortable to make fun of that, regardless of how I meant it. And that's where, like, I feel like that's where this is, and that's okay, because it's not one of those things where we need to go and Josh Donaldson is this terrible racist person.
Right. It's not one of those situations per se.
It's also one of those situations where, when it comes to race and someone feels a certain way, you can take it as an opportunity to be like, you know what, I respect that and I apologize. Because I think that one thing is, like, when it comes to Black people, when we start to say we're uncomfortable with certain rhetoric or narratives or word or language, we're being sensitive. But it's like, if that's how I personally feel, then that's just how I personally feel. But if there's any other group who you can take something like, I like to use it as an example, so many people will come out and they'll say, oh, well, African Americans in America are the original Jews. Just that statement alone is taken as a direct shot at a Jewish person.
Right. Sacrilege.
But at what point within that is that conversation saying that Jewish people are terrible people? I don't rock with them. And it's like, I do think that but it makes them feel that way. So at that point, like, there's no conversation that needs to be had. It's just, this person is a terrible person for saying that, and now they feel this way. But when it's us that feel some way about something that is said, or there's language within something that makes us feel a certain way, we need to put our big boy pants on and not be so sensitive.
No, I get where you're coming from.
That's where, for me, I think the undertones is where he's out of bounds.
Mm-hmm.
I also, like I said in my explanation, I don't think that he needs to be hung up and strung to dry.
Right.
But I do think you can use this as a teachable moment.
Yeah.
And being sensitive to how someone else would feel about a joke or something like that. And I'm a person that cracks a lot of offensive jokes.
We all have Twitter.
Exactly.
Might want to scrub it now. Hey, this is a perfect Mr. Morale, the Big Steppers topic, man. You know what I'm saying? It's like, are we too sensitive society, the culture, man? No, but and also there's also another kind of angle I kind of take of it. Why I didn't harp on it too much is what you said about, you know, having a different feeling towards a statement or word or whatever than you did before. And all I could think about was the Kyrie and the Dennis Schroeder situation, bro.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Court, bro, yeah. Yeah, all I could think about was that, bro, and the memes that were coming out about that. But yeah, but no, I think what you're saying in terms of the angle, in terms of, you know, if you're taking it from the racial undertones angle, I get it. I still personally, I just feel like, you know, if there was some type of change or whatever, I feel like there needs. I feel like I feel like there's still more missing behind it. Just me personally, where I just feel like I could have actually heard what dude, the meaning behind why he decided to call himself Jackie, because a lot of people, unfortunately, in society, people interpret that many different ways, right? But yeah, I definitely get where you're coming from, honestly. So yeah, I'm okay with that.
And so, out of bounds. Yeah, Boyz definitely out of bounds on that one. So we now at the Warriors. I think, what do they have, game 4 tonight?
Yeah, the sweep. It's over.
Yeah.
No one's ever come back from 3-0, so we can forget it.
My question, I meant to ask you this before we got to recording.
Okay.
For pre-production meeting. So are we talking about their success altogether, or what is making them successful this year?
You know, I was thinking this year, because altogether could be one thing in total, but I want to say this year. The reason why I want to say this year is because I feel like at different points of the season, different people have stepped up. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and so I'm thinking I'm going to go with this year because we're in the now. You know, because we could easily just go all time or whatever and just be like, well, you know, it started off with the GM or it started off with the trio. I mean, it depends on, like, who do you feel is the biggest reason? Because, excuse me, when I look at Steph, and I was actually having a conversation with one of our homies about this, I said I feel like lost in this whole ordeal or this whole topic of the Warriors so far in the playoff run was that, and I know a lot of people pick them to, you know, win the championship or whatever, or at least make the finals during the season, who watches like the mainstream stuff. But was that I felt like, or maybe it was me who was putting more emphasis on this, but at some point in time, I felt this was a legacy year for Steph. Now, what I mean by that is, and I do get that, follow me now, that legacy is technically meant to be talked about after someone has played. And I think that sports media gets so caught up into every year is a legacy year, every playoff's a legacy year. And I've been victim of it as well. I get it. So I'm calling my own self out. However, there was a lot of undertones of, not necessarily a bad way, but me and you, we talked about it. We've heard the murmurings, the mumblings of Steph and being clutch more in the playoffs. Steph not winning a finals MVP. Steph, if he wins a finals MVP, he could go down as a top 10 player of all time. A lot of that kind of stuff, right? Steph possibly winning the regular season MVP, coming out. I think he was a favorite to win it this year, early in the season, before the Embiids and all that kind of stuff, right? And then the all-time three-point record. So we felt like Steph was really a cog and a driving force. So that's why I kind of pose this question, Ralph. I'm like, who do you feel is like the biggest key for it? I think for me, I think Draymond is probably the most important piece in terms of a leadership standpoint, right? But I think impact and on-court impact, it's Steph. Also, I think it goes furthermore to the locker room. So I'll say there's two people, and I'll pass it off to you. I already mentioned Draymond, his vocal leadership, his communication on defense is amazing, right? But with Steph, impactful-wise, I put it like this. If you take away Michael Jordan, if you take away your favorite player, whoever your favorite player is, now this isn't your favorite player, but if I take away Kobe Bryant, just me personally, and they say, Kai, you can't choose any of those two people, who's the first person you would want to build a team around? There's probably three people I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about Shaq, I'm thinking about LeBron, and I'm thinking about Steph. Well, LeBron, I can only build my team one way to be optimal. With Shaq, I know that he's going to be a liability in high pick and roll and that he might foul out before the game's over and he's going to get hacked. With Steph, I can make up for his defensive deficiencies, and his gravity on the perimeter is so great. His off-ball movement is so great. And the greatest attribute that he has that none of these players in the playoffs have right now is his ability to subjugate his own ego and suppress it and allow others to shine. Steph Curry in the last 25 years, I think he's done this better than any player I've personally witnessed, whether people like him, love him, or hate him. Every superstar player has an ego. Steph has an ego, but you would barely know it because he's willing to do whatever it takes to be the perfect teammate for his team. And I think that him being able to do that, him being able to welcome a Kevin Durant, him being able to, welcome a Jordan Poole, allow him to get shine, him being able to let other people operate in the Warrior system at the end of his career. I know this isn't necessarily solely about Steph, it's about the Warriors, but I think he on-court impact is probably the number one key. There was points in this time, Ralph, and I'll end it with this, when I was like, well, he's lost a step. And I still think he has, and that's okay. Clay's lost a step. You get older. I've seen Kobe lose a step. You lose a step. It doesn't mean you fall off a cliff.
Right.
But I'm like, then he has these moments where I'm like, wow, like they really want this. You know what I'm saying? Like they're really trying to ride off on the sunset. I'm not saying they're retired in the season. So for me personally, I think when I look at an on-court impact, I think Steph is actually the reason, more so than just his play, but I think it's because he allows other people to shine in the system. That's just me. So I don't know, man. That's my little essay.
Right.
It's here, man.
And I brought this up many a times. The key to the Warriors' success is their opponents' injuries, man.
Hey, that was a perfect rebuttal, bro. You're like
their opponents' injuries, bro. And I had this pulled up since 2015.
Go ahead.
They have been benefiting from their opponents' injuries.
Oh man, you're gonna get hate mail, bro.
First round in 2015.
I had nothing to do with this people.
Lose Drew Holiday. Was giving Dame Lillard work that year. In the second round, they lose Tony Allen. The Grizzlies lose Tony Allen and Michael Conley. In the conference finals,
right, Kawhi, right,
and they play Houston.
Okay,
who loses their best perimeter defender.
Which year was that?
Patrick Beverly. They play Houston in the conference finals.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
And on top of that, they play Cleveland, who doesn't have Kyrie or Kevin Love.
Yeah.
Then 2 years later, Portland trades for Nurkic, which makes their team, they pretty much go to the next level, and they're playing extremely well. They play against the Warriors. Play this style of small ball. Nurkic gets hurt. They make quick work of them. Second round, Utah loses George Hill, which is also their starting point guard. Now we're at this point. It was 5 years ago, so he still was doing his thing at that point. Now, was he an all-star level player? No, but he definitely was a major contributor on that team.
I'll roll with those other points. Utah, yeah, but yeah, I feel you. Keep you. I feel you. I feel you.
Finals to that same season, no Kawhi Leonard, no Tony Parker.
Right.
Year after that, Kawhi Leonard with the whole Bros step. He steps on Bros' foot.
Assassination.
Giving them a 30-piece and they was up by 20. You know the rest is history. Second round, they play the Pelicans. It makes them because DeMarcus Cousins is out with an Achilles injury.
He's always the best player.
Then in that same season, Chris Paul pulls his hamstring in Game 5. Now we fast forward to this year. Ja Morant balling out of control. Grizzlies looking like it's about to be a problem. Ja Morant gets hurt. Grizzlies still make it a series without Ja.
Right.
And you can even argue, like for me personally, in Game 4, ball goes in the air. Desmond Bane runs toward runs to the rim, puts his hand on Steph's back. Steph feels the hand on his back, waits perfectly, times the flop. They call it. Now, if you go back and look, his arm doesn't even move to where it's a pushing motion. So why are you jumping out of bounds?
Right.
Then they call that foul. Then on top of that, the next possession, Jaren Jackson comes off a screen, tries to shoot, gets hacked by Draymond. The rest is history. So it's like for me, bro, I'm gonna give them a certain amount of credit, but I just hate the whole chest bumping and this is what we do. We just know what it takes to win. And it's like, bro, you played a team and they took you to 6 games. We're should in 7.
Yeah. Those are valid criticisms, and my thing is this, because I don't even want to really call it pushback, but just mentioning certain things. I say every single champion, unfortunately, this is how sports are played, especially in the NBA, especially in COVID season this year. And I feel like last 2 seasons and even injuries, because I was talking to shout out once again to the homie Tar. We talked about the Chris Middleton injury because I picked Warriors and Bucks. And it was huge. And we're looking at the injury situation with the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. And I think that even if the team gets out of the conference finals, and maybe we'll talk about another show, but might as well just mention it now because that series might be over by the time we do another episode. It could come down to them not being healthy enough, either of those teams, right?
Yeah.
And the Warriors are going to be healthy, and they'll probably get Gary Payton back, possibly, right? So I think those are actual valid assessments, valid observations, even possible criticisms, because you never knock their talent. That's the thing. Like their system flows. Like Kobe did a great breakdown on rest in peace on detail of the Golden State Democracy, and their system actually runs better without Kevin Durant. But Kevin Durant was like the cheat code when they had him, right? But my big thing is, because you mentioned Memphis, I'll go a step further. My one issue was I've never got a chance to see Jokic play with help outside of the bubble, right?
Yeah.
Now in the bubble, they did do a number on the Clippers, and we could talk about who's really better, a healthy Clippers team and a healthy Warriors team, and that's something that we might see next year. And I think that's going to be crazy next year, but that's down the line. But when Jamal Murray was there and Michael Porter was there, Murray was cooking fools.
Yeah.
Jokic is a perfect complement to him because he can do the pick and pop. And then Murray can solve some people. And this is a guy who has the ability not to get just 30, but he can get 50 points. His play elevates in the playoffs. And so to your point, I would have liked to see a Murray and a 6'10" Michael Porter Jr. who shoots like 50% from 3, who can, do some things and get you an easy 20 points. And then it allows the job to be easier on guys like Will the Thrill Barton and others, right? And we saw what DeMarcus Cousins and Jokic were doing. And I think the game that they won, they were straight abusing the Warriors in the playoffs, Ralph, in the post.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how you have to beat them. You have to beat them playing inside out. And so what you're saying is like guys like a Nurkic, guys like a Jokic, guys like a DeMarcus Cousins in his prime, past his prime. We never really got a chance to see these teams play the Warriors at full strength. And then Houston had them on the ropes.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I think for me, I get it. I think that's actually valid. And I think at the end of the day, any team can be beat because that team was the one with, I want to say KD was on that team. I don't know if that was the year he got hurt.
Yes.
Though. Yeah, he was on that team though.
Yes.
When they almost lost to Houston. So I still believe that was a cheat code and KD shouldn't have done that personally, but they still could have been beat because Houston proved they still could have been beat. So
right.
I feel you, man. I'm not mad at it, bro. I don't even call that throwing salt. I just call it you observing something, and that has something to do with championship
but
pedigree. You know what I'm saying?
Not be petty and for the sake of giving credit where credit is due. I think Andrew Wiggins is out in this playoffs, the one that's been able to keep them
steady.
Whenever they need a play to be made, Andrew Wiggins is there to make a play in these playoffs. And I think that him being the third or fourth option is really helping his game ascend to the next level. Now, I did disagree with the whole all-star starter bid, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
If you can be the fourth best player on your team, and you should be a starter when your team is not that deep. So
what about this person? Do you think he's underrated, or do you think he just struck fire now? He's always been a good defender to me, but offensively, you don't expect anyone to do anything. But it's the person I'm about to name, Kevon Looney, has had a sighting this playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I'm like, this dude went wild, bro.
He was pretty much asserting him into the starting lineup is why they were able to pull out that against the Grizzlies. Because if they don't have him, Steven Adams is going to work. He's dominating the paint, and there's nothing they can do about it.
That's why I want to see a matchup versus Celtics over a matchup versus the Heat, because I think the Celtics present problems. And my last point, because I talked to my dad about this, because I asked him who he thinks is going to win. He thinks the Warriors. I said I could see that happening, but I said that how the refs play, because we talked about the Buffalo Wild Wing refs. You got to get physical with Steph because you're just not going to stop him. Steph, once he's all-time great, right? Once he gets going, he gets going. But I'm like, if the refs allow that physical play that they've been allowing in this Miami series, I think that could slow down some of that attack of the Warriors. And then Horford can lure the Draymonds and then Looney away from the basket and do some things. So I think that if I had a chance between the matchup, and we can go into the next topic, it would be like we talked about that Celtics-Warriors matchup. I think that could present some interesting looks if both teams are healthy. So,
oh God.
All right.
And so the Lakers still are looking for a coach.
Oh boy.
They've gone down to what was it?
Kenny Atkinson, Darvin Ham, and Terry Stotts.
I knew his last name was Stotts. I couldn't think of his first name.
Yeah.
Which finalist, in your personal opinion, is the best option?
LeBron.
As an actual player coach.
Hey, when LeBron's coaching, not GM, let LeBron be the coach and be cool. No, but in all seriousness, I'm kind of being serious, but the man in the yellow hat lookalike, aka Terry Stotts, sorry, bro. Can't do that, man. The Curious George thing character, I can't do him. Darvin Ham would be interesting. I like Darvin Ham. I really do. But with the Lakers are a team that you need a championship pedigree. You have veterans on that team. You have guys who've never won, like a Russell Westbrook. Now, then you have guys who have won in Anthony Davis. You have LeBron James. You need to bring in a guy that's won a championship that, some players do respect. And I actually do think the murmurings and the rumblings and all that kind of stuff, there's two people out there. And then none of them are finalists. Yeah. So to answer the question, I don't think any of those guys would be the person. I think it should be either Mark Jackson, which we know, once again, due to his issues in the Bay and all that kind of stuff and views on, religious views, he's being spurned of interviews. And then two, Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers, they call him Doc Rivers, and I call him Doc Rivers, the king of 3-1 shivers. But then when you look at it deeply, look at the types of players that he's been coaching as well, outside of obviously Kawhi. But Kawhi choked, and I've said that. That's my boy. I'm like, also, you got to hold players accountable when they choke. The coach cannot play the game for you. Now, does Doc Rivers make adjustments? Hell no. But when you pair Doc Rivers with what do we always say, Ralph? When you pair him with, the Thibodeaus of the world and the Lue or whoever, the complementary pieces, he can do some things. And I want to really ask people this: if Frank Vogel can win a championship, I know it was in the bubble, but that roster made sense. If Frank Vogel can win a championship with LeBron and AD and whoever else they had, Alex Caruso and all them, and Kent Bazemore, KCP, Doc Rivers cannot win a championship with LeBron James right now, who's averaged 30 points per game, shooting 50% from whatever, who just said on Twitter, yeah, I have a few more years. Like, I can definitely play. I feel pretty good right now, bro. Like, I believe him. So my personal thing is just go get Doc because Magic likes him. LeBron respects him. Doc respects LeBron. He's kept LeBron's name on the edge of his tongue for many years when he was in the Eastern Conference, having to play with him. But I don't think Terry Stotts, he couldn't get it done in Portland. Darvin Ham, we don't know about yet. And what's the other guy? Kenny Atkinson. He can run some offense, but is Kenny Atkinson going to be a guy that can deal with a Russell Westbrook? Yeah. Because if you don't get Russell Westbrook off your books, then what? So what? How do you feel, Ralph? Like,
I feel I'm gonna piggyback off this. The very last thing you said
about Russ. Okay.
Won't matter who the coach is if Russ is there.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
There's a part of me that just feels like with 3 players of that caliber, with 2 years,
yeah,
I actually low-key want to see a second year. But I also hate the Lakers. So
yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
I also hate the Lakers. So it's like I actually think they can figure it out, but I also, if they don't, I'm cool with it not being figured out.
Right. You like the chaos.
Yeah. So
the darkness of it all.
LeBron has said that he wants Ham as his coach.
Yeah, I did. Right. Yeah.
Regardless of how he feels about it, how many first year head coaches he's had in his career. I think with that, it kind of gives him a little bit more leeway to do what he wants to do, and he gets more and more input within the team functions. But at the same time, it's like, is that good or is that bad? The only person I think the person that makes the most sense is Kenny Atkinson.
Yeah.
Because it's like what he was able to do with that Brooklyn team. I think he got the short end of the stick.
Absolutely. I got to blame Kyrie and KD for that when they dropped the ball in that one.
He was able to get that team to a certain point without Kyrie and KD. Then they get Kyrie, KD, and they just get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
As if this moment is too big for him.
Right.
And so that's the point for me. It's like you've never seen him get that opportunity, but you saw him take a bunch of riffraff and turn it into a team.
Yeah.
Because after KG, Williams, and Joe Johnson and Paul Pierce all got up out of there, who was the person to pick up the pieces and turn that into a functioning basketball team? It was Atkins. And so I do think that he deserves that opportunity. But as a person, as a black man, as a person who I would much rather see former players be coaches, just to get the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Because just because you played doesn't mean you're a better coach or that you're such a great coach. Because I forgot that Pop fired the coach as the GM and was just like, F it, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
It became one of the greatest NBA coaches of all time.
Right.
And he never hooped in the NBA a day of his life.
You mean they shouldn't bring back Phil Jackson, the Lakers?
Bro, they didn't about trade LeBron.
Hey.
Trade LeBron.
Bruh.
And keep Russ.
Bruh. Yo, that's the last thing I would do. If you're going to trade LeBron, I'm definitely not keeping Russ. I'm like, no, this is a package deal, man. Right. We're going to clear out some cap.
For real. We're going to build. We're going to rebuild. We're blowing this team apart.
Right, man. Send them to Orlando, bro. Like, man. Send them to Disney World. No, but I think I like Atkins. But once again, like we both agree, I think we agree on this is you could bring Atkins in, but Russ, can you coach that dude, bro? Right. This dude, especially the post-game press conferences, Like, hey, I'm gonna rush the ball up the court, man. Screw what Vogel talking about, bro. Like, man, yo, Russ that case, bro. I keep trying to, and I've been telling people, and I keep being proven right about Russ, bro. Nah, man, nah, can't do it. Won't do it. It's gonna be like Mike Singletary, man. Cannot win with him. Cannot play with him.
Won't do it. Can't do it.
Won't do it. Our formula: we go out, we smack people in the mouth. But, hey man, Mike Singletary, man, old school as hell, bro. Yeah, but they're not going to get
player. Bringing up Andrew Wiggins catches the body, which brings some of our favorite dunks.
Yeah.
All of the playoffs of all time.
It
says top 10, but pretty much we got about 8 minutes.
Just list off your favorites, man.
Playoff dunk that you want to get off your chest. I am slightly like I was watching, like we was just watching. I was just watching. You can hear the audio, but I was just watching the ESPN top 10, and it kind of hurt my feelings that Derrick Rose didn't get on that top 10 list. Like that defensive split, hang in the air. Joel Anthony, come get this work
with 2-hand jam. That was an NBA Jam dunk.
Yeah. Boom shakalaka on God. And so like that was another one for me. One of the ones that I forgot happened in the playoffs was T-Mac on Sean Bradley.
Yeah.
Bro. It cracks me up when I'm like, yo, you're 7'6". How you just didn't even try to dunk? You didn't even try to block. You just ducked.
Right. That's crazy to me, bro. Like, how are you that height and you can't even block it? That's crazy.
Yet, not even attempt.
Yeah. But I definitely got to roll with that Paul George on Bird. What happened to that boy? What happened to that boy? My niece was 6 years old when she felt chinchilla. Yeah, I got to go with that one, bro, because it was against LeBron James, who was supposed to be viewed at that year as like a defensive player of the year. And, one of the elite defenders in the league in his prime. And he just hit him with that. You saw it coming. He was a straight blow by. The straight blow by jam. Yeah. He had no regard for human life, and his face on the camera from the over the top of the backboard on Birdman, and boom. And it was in the conference finals in a series that I believe went 7 games. So I got to go with my favorite of the playoffs. I'm going with Paul. What happened to that boy? What happened to that boy? I gotta say it again. Paul George dunk, bro. So I'm gonna do that one as my number 1 favorite one, bro. So I gotta roll with that. That's my favorite, man. Because I could have went with Kobe, but Kobe, I think he had more regular season good dunks than he did in the playoffs, quite frankly. Oh, well, wait. Steve Nash was in the playoffs.
That was Steve Nash, though.
But still, it was because. But still, there was animosity behind it or anger because he stole his MVPs. So that was key that year. He won the MVP. So I got to roll with the Kobe. Pretty much any dunk that Kobe's ever performed in the playoffs is in my top 10 favorites. There we go, including the sprained ankle one against Emeka Okafor in 2011.
Yeah, that one was good. The John Starks.
Yeah.
Against the whole Bulls lineup.
Bro, I know that one hurt the city of Chicago for a while, man.
I don't remember which was first though, because I know Mike was there.
Yeah.
So I feel like
that's first year back.
I feel like Scotty's was the revenge.
Yeah, Scotty had to be the revenge.
Because he dunked on him and then pushed him down. And then he told Spike Lee, sit your down. Go sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one. That was crucial. That was critical.
Yeah.
Sean, when he cuffed it on Al Lister with the woo-opty bam, and then he hit him with a ha-ha.
Yeah.
There's 2-finger point. The skinniest of ankles.
I'm surprised Vince. I thought the Vince on morning was in the playoffs, but it might have been in the regular season, a regular season game. Remember when he cocked that thing back when he was in the Nets and bing?
Yeah.
That one was cold, hellified cold.
Speaking
But
of
I'm gonna go ahead.
Davis
Yeah.
was a hard one too. The Baron Davis, We Believe team.
Yes. We Believe Warriors. That upset.
AK-47.
Yeah. Another one I gotta roll with as I look at it. I gotta go with that Ja Morant dunk. I love that. I really did enjoy that in terms of for this new generation. That was nice. The Ja Morant dunk that he had over was it not Looney, the Timberwolves, excuse me. It was very Russell Westbrook-esque, if you ask me. So yeah, but those are some of my favorites for the sake of time. I'm sure we can come up with some more. So yeah.
I'm surprised you didn't bring up your boy.
I did bring up Kobe. Oh, you talking about Kawhi?
Kawhi on Max Cleveland, bro.
Hey, that was cool, but you know why I didn't bring it up?
Why?
Because I'm salty they lost that game, bro.
They did lose that game, but they won that series,
bro. But they won it, but bro, everyone kept talking about, yeah. They're like, I remember Shane was like, yeah, you lost that game, bro. I was like, yeah. I'm like, man, whatever, bro. Because that's when all the oh man, Luka's the best in the series. I'm like, look, Luka nice, but we remember how that series ended. It was 2 ISOs on Luka, a jab, and bang, Mike Breen.
Yeah. Yo, that's like one of my favorite audios on TikTok right now.
Yeah, the like Mike Breen bang.
When your team is down by 7, with a minute 30 left, and all you hear is bang. I'm definitely gonna do a video like that.
Oh, you got to, bro. That would get hella likes. Yeah. Nah, but yeah, man. That's how I remember the series very differently. I remember a lot of locking up in the last 2 games. I remember a lot of ISOing and a lot of Jays getting Jade in the face. So that's all I remember that series. I don't even remember games 1, 2, 3, whatever. I got select memory. All right.
Hey, yo, who do you think is the best in-game dunker?
In-game dunker? In the league now or all time?
Now and all time.
Okay, so all time is Vince. It's Vince. I think, and people, and I've had some people actually agree with me on this. I think this dunker in terms of creativity, because the game evolved. I do think Zach LaVine is actually more creative than anyone because he has bunnies. But I get why people say that Vince Carter is like the guy dunking because he does that stuff. Even on street ball, he's doing that stuff.
Yeah.
So Vince Carter, all-time generational in-game dunker. And then today, I'm probably going to go with – does old boy still play? Not Terrence Ross. Terrence Ross is a good one. I'm going to have to go with Ja. The reason why I go with Ja, though, the only reason why I go with Ja, because he's fearless when he does it. Like, I think Ja still, because people are scared that he's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
He's still naive enough where he believes that I can still dunk on anybody.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, remember the Kevin Love dunk he tried?
Oh.
That matters to me. Like, he don't care, bro. He doesn't know better.
Not, bro. Like that.
Right. So just the attempt.
When he banged on Pirtle,
bro,
I was like, fam.
I think he's the best.
Oh, yeah.
His
I'm gonna do it.
Right. You need some of that. You need all of that.
Yeah. Which is why I think that like he's such a catalyst for that team. Although the team plays well without him. Right. You need that. They don't think we can do it, so I'm gonna go do it. Y'all with me or not?
Yeah.
And it's like that type of mentality is like why I think they're gonna get one, bro.
Yeah, no, I really do. I think health permits.
Yeah.
If he stays healthy, yeah. But I think they're definitely
realizing you gotta have. I just hear people talk about like Kyrie was on I Am Athlete, and they got to talking about Shaq and Kobe.
Yeah.
Kyrie and LeBron and what he would have changed, and they started talking about communication.
Yep.
If you look at your team and it's like, hey, Dez, Steven Adams, Jaren Jackson, Dill, Jones, Ja, Slow-Mo, even Zaire off the bench, you have something where everybody outside of Steven Adams is 27 or younger.
Yeah.
Steven Adams and Kyle Anderson.
They have a blend.
And so if you can just take all of them and it's like, yo, I can make sure that you're taken care of financially if you're willing to sacrifice a little bit so we can keep everyone. If you can sell that dream, the sky's the limit. They're going to be good for 5-6 years now.
Right.
And they
No, I agree. Because I think also I'm sure you remember this, when Steph and Ja were talking everything, that's a series where those teams will see each other, I think, down the line more often than once, even if Steph eventually, fades off to the sunset, because the way the Warriors have built their team is to have the next incarnation of, and they have a system in place. That's how Joe Lacob, the owner and the GM, builds their roster. So I think that where the other teams we have questions about, obviously you have the CP3, pending retirement, not saying this offseason, but eventually he's going to be gone. We know that the Clippers, dare I say, they're a fraudulent team because while everyone's like, oh, they're going to be so great next season. Yeah, that's cool and all that. But it's more so the fact that while they've continued to, add certain pieces, and yes, they've gotten better in Ty Lue and all that, but we all know that they missed their opportunity 2 years in a row, but really that second year is when they missed it. And then this year, everyone was hurt. Okay, you bring people back, but everyone's older now, Ralph, and I mentioned this to you on many occasions. You're supposed to win when you had the window. All these other young teams, they don't care, and they're here now. So it's like, I'm sorry, you missed your window. Okay, let's say you win 50 games. Your two best players are probably two of the most fragile players, in the Western Conference. Paul George can do some things, but it's always ticky-tack injuries. And then Kawhi, he's just not reliable. That's his biggest weakness in terms of injuries. He had everywhere else skill-wise, he's cool, but your most fatal flaw is your health, bro. And then you look at the team like the Denver Nuggets, Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Michael Porter Jr. Well, Michael Porter Jr., everyone knew coming out of the draft, they're like, oh, all these teams passed on him, but they passed on him for a reason. And now he's starting to have reoccurring problems with that back. So we don't really know the future. Is it going to, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I personally like what you said. I really like the Grizzlies. I like the Pelicans with the Zion and Willie Green bringing the most out of his coaches. So, yeah, man, I just think, honestly, Ralph, it's a young man's league. I think it's the young teams that can stay together that are going to be competing for chips. So, did you want to break down our favorites?
You tripping about Zion?
Oh yeah, and he averaged 27 as a rookie, man.
Yeah, you're wild, bro. And you said he's trash too. And he said he was trash. Oh yeah, he's trash.
Bro,
trash.
Dunking on grown men, bro.
He was a double machine, and we say he's not skilled.
His bounce is ridiculous, though.
It's wild. Like his ability. Like that, remember Sean Marion, one of his greatest attributes was that pogo.
Yeah, that boom. Yep. You can't teach that, bro.
Not at all.
You can't teach that. Nah,
not at all.
He's gonna have a game where he has like 40 and 20.
Exactly.
He could have it. So
our last topic, we ain't gonna do 10 because
we'll just do like 5 or 4.
So a lot.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you name some, and then I'm going to name some.
Okay, so for the sake of time, I'll get on with it. Obviously, I got to pick a Raven in there. I believe that he's someone people are watching. Rashad Bateman, wide receiver out of Minnesota. We got him in 2020 draft, I believe, the 27th pick, wide receiver, Baltimore Ravens. He obviously missed about half the season, or a little bit less than half the season, due to growing surgery that he had. Came in, was able to he had 1 touchdown, but he's going to be now the premier X receiver with Hollywood Brown gone. He's been building rapport in the offseason, had over 500 receiving yards. He can pretty much do everything. Crisp routes, good release, strong hands, large catch radius. He is the X receiver. Still need to add another receiver to the receiver room, but I expect him to break out. If you don't know who he is, you better ask somebody and you better watch his tape. the dude is actually nice. And then the next, I'll give you like 3 or 4 more. I had Rondell Moore. We might both be in agreement there.
Yes.
Hollywood Brown there, but now he has to move over with DeAndre Hopkins serving that suspension. They're going to get more creative, more opportunities. I like him there. I like Azeez Ojulari, as well as another guy. I'm looking at like Kayvon Thibodeau. I'm looking at guys, on the edge. So I like Azeez Ojulari. And then I believe my last person that I'm going to go with the breakout. I forgot his name. I just had it in front of me, but I guess I swiped away from it. But it's a cornerback for the New Orleans Saints. I don't know if you can pull it up, but pretty much the cornerback who plays the opposite side of Marshawn Lattimore. I expect him to have a breakout as well because they added the Honey Badger and Marcus May. So I just think that his responsibilities aren't going to be too big. So those are my breakout candidates for the sake of time.
All right. And so I got a couple myself. Some people I agree with: Rondell Moore, Bateman. Someone. It's one of the two.
Okay.
I think the addition of Yannick Ngakoue with the Colts, Kwity Paye.
Okay. Yeah.
One of those two. Either Ngakoue is going to have a bounce back season because he's already had his breakout season.
Yeah.
Or Kwity Paye is going to have his breakout season. So I guess for the sake of the topic, who's having the breakout season, I'm gonna say Kwity Paye. With Buckner shoring up things on the inside, and having someone as talented as Ngakoue, we've seen what Max was able to do. Max is gonna ball no matter who's out there. But when you have someone where you have to worry about the other side, it just opens things up. There were so many different games where that just having someone on the other side where you can't just key your whole offensive line to one side would just open so many different things up.
Yeah. Someone
who I think his father was a very talented wide receiver, ultra athletic cornerback, J.C. Horn. I think he was a rookie last season. Y'all know how I felt about Patrick Surtain Jr. or the second.
I like that one.
And so I think one of those two, both of them are going to solidify themselves as, I'm not going to say they're going to have like a Trayvon Diggs type of year, but they're going to be impactful like a Trayvon Diggs was his second season.
Yeah.
And then my last but not least, got to send a shout out to my boy Devon Diablo, the hybrid linebacker, safety, everything that, if you do your research and you look into things, it all points to that's the way that we're going to use him. That was how he was supposed to have been used. But they used him from safety to straight up linebacker. So we'll see what role he really plays. Because I've already been told what type of defense we're thinking about running, and I think that his success within that in the scheme is going to say whether or not that defense is going to work to its optimum effectiveness.
Okay.
He's literally someone we drafted to be the answer to a Travis Kelce.
Yeah. I remember we talked about that one. Yeah.
We struggle with him no matter who we have, who's in, who's out, who's throwing the ball, who's coaching. We struggle stopping Travis Kelce.
He's like your Kyle Hamilton almost. Yeah.
We'll be able to see what happens here. But thank you all for watching, man. We started a little late today. I am in the process of moving. If you notice, my background is different. But thank you all for watching. Make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on Facebook and YouTube at the He Say, She Say, all one word channel. Then make sure, then that's Facebook and YouTube. Make sure you go and like, follow, go down the button, give us and straight up, just flag everything. On our Instagram page, J.U.K. Sports Show. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe. Twitch, Twitter, Instagram at KYNGRALPH.
And you can follow me on IG at the.houseofhoops for NBA content.
And thank you all for watching, man. We out of here. Y'all have a good day. Peace.
Peace.